Ripple's XRP was always the chosen banking token, or that's at least according to BitBoy Crypto, otherwise known as Ben Armstrong. Now, Ben Armstrong is quite well known in the crypto communities, but not necessarily in the XRP community. So I'm kind of shocked with what he shared recently on a podcast. That said, he is a very controversial figure with many opinions that most people don't agree with. But then again, that's most online personalities. But I do believe he is on to something in a video that we're going to share very shortly. So in this video, we're going to dive into those statements he makes about XRP, which are extremely bullish, and dissect what's true and whether or not XRP is truly destined to be the banker's coin of the future based on current facts and evidence. We'll be sharing some new information surrounding the SEC lawsuit directly from the chief legal officer over at Ripple, alongside a shocking court document that's been making its rounds on X for the first time and what it actually means for Ripple's XRP token. Finally, we'll be covering XRP's recent price action and its relative performance to Bitcoin and Ethereum to see if we can't gather some clues about what's going to happen next. Also, before we begin the video, head on over to bullrunners.com to subscribe and learn how to take advantage of our all market solution. So it doesn't matter if you're bearish or bullish, head on over to bullrunners.com to learn how to put your XRP to work in the #1 play to earn XRP game so you can earn crypto, and it takes literally 10 minutes and no more than about that amount of time. So that said, bullrunners.com, you can find it in the description below, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side. If you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777, and if you're going to be the richest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Let's get into the video. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that the opinions in this video are for informational and educational purposes only and do not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. All investments, including cryptos, carry risks and potential losses. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor. We are not licensed financial advisors, and relying on our content for financial decisions is at your own risk. By watching this video, you agree we are not responsible for any losses or damages, and we do not guarantee any specific results or outcomes. Some of the links below may be affiliate links, and we may earn a commission, which actually helps support this channel and helps us to create value-based videos like this. We also hold some positions in the cryptocurrencies that we talk about, but that's only because we do what we believe in. However, this should not be interpreted as a recommendation for you to do the same. With that said, let's get into the video. Now, before we cover what Ben Armstrong shared in a recent video interview, I want to cover really quickly what's happening in the lawsuit with the SEC and Ripple. Now, I know a lot of you are in tune with the most recent news surrounding the settlement in terms of $125 million and Ripple being happy to pay that. Brad Garlinghouse coming out and saying this is a major win for them and the crypto industry as a whole. That said, most people have kind of overlooked the fact that the SEC still has 60 days to file an appeal from the date of August 7th. So the 60-day countdown would come sometime in October, and that would be early October. So there still is time for them to appeal. Now, they likely won't appeal the current situation or case surrounding XRP being a security. It is already deemed not a security by the court. But as you can see here, they have a potential to file by October 6th, which is likely related to Taurus's July 2023 court decision, which ruled that XRP was not a security, but only when sold to retail investors. In other words, they can still argue the case when it comes to selling XRP to institutional investors, to which they responded, Tourette in particular. I feel an appeal of the remedies ruling from either side is unlikely. I think it's more likely that the SEC would appeal the July 2023 ruling now that the final judgment has been reached. Then in a recent interview, Alderodi, which is the chief legal officer over at Ripple, said this: if the SEC were a rational actor, they should just move on from this case. I think everyone is at that point now. Alderodi stated, pointing out that the court found no victims or losses associated with Ripple's actions. There are no allegations of fraud, he added, highlighting that the case does not align with the SEC's core mission to protect investors. And that is ultimately the only thing that this regulatory body and agency is there to do, to protect investors. And at the end of the day, since they found no fraud, since they found that XRP, when sold to retail investors, was not deemed a security, when they found that there were no victims or losses, how could they continue to fight this in court after they already got themselves a $125 million settlement from the court? And so ultimately, this has just been a long overdue process. It needs to come to a close and an end. And at the end of the day, there was this statement from Moustakis, who said, Ripple is a winner, but I think in the grand scheme of things, if you have to be embroiled in litigation for years, have your asset, your token, be delisted from exchanges at least for some period of time, fight with a regulator, pay a large fine, that doesn't feel like a win. I think everyone is at a point where they're ready to move on, which begs the question, why would the SEC continue to appeal in an environment like this? Why would the SEC continue to attack Ripple when we just heard from their lawyer there were no damages, there were no losses, XRP itself is not deemed a security, other than the fact that maybe, just maybe, there was something political going on behind the scenes? Well, BitBoy has something to say about it.
The old lion share. Yeah, they definitely got that. Now, the thing is I've said for years, and this was staged, guys. This was never real. I don't believe this was ever a real thing. I've been told, and I now believe this 100%. I believe it 100% that 75% of everything you see is fake. And it doesn't mean that if you watch 100 court cases, that 75 of those are fake and 25 are fake. It means pretty much 75% of anything you see anywhere is fake. So 75% of someone's testimony is their perspective in the way that they saw things. That's a good example, right? Have you ever had a situation where you and someone else were good friends, but you just saw something completely differently, right? And that's kind of how things work. And with the SEC and the Ripple lawsuit, this was always designed to make XRP, basically the first regulated cryptocurrency, and to allow it to get into the banking system, because Bitcoin is not actually regulated in a sense. There are some rules around some things, but like Bitcoin mining has virtually no regulation, right? Bitcoin trading doesn't, it kind of is different than the regular stock trading, should have its own rules. They haven't touched any of those things yet. Ethereum, right, they said it's not a security, but we all know that was really, I guess, yeah, in a sense, Gary Gensler doing a 180, a lot of 180s these days on Ethereum, and saying, well, they're not going to investigate it as security anymore. I guess that does make it official. It is now not a security as well. So you have Bitcoin, which is seen as a commodity. You have Ethereum that has been classified also now basically as a commodity. And you have XRP now that has now also been, as you know, is now a commodity. It is not a security. And this has been such a great setup for XRP, as Ripple was the number 2 or number 3 coin for most of its existence until recently, when some other coins started kind of, rising on the scene, Solana and ADA to some extent at some points, not anymore. Yeah, ADA is dead. You guys, run for the hills from ADA. I think I said this for a while, that XRP is not ADA. XRP, there was 0% chance ever that this was not going to go Ripple's way. It needed to be regulated.
So think about what he just said. He literally said this was always designed to make Ripple, or XRP, the only and first regulated cryptocurrency. So what exactly does that mean for the XRP token moving forward? And you can even see it right here on the Ripple website when it comes to their customer case studies. We're talking they have partnerships with SBI Remit, SCB, Instarem, Modular, Send SB, Money Match, TravelX Bank, Tranglo. When you look at Tranglo alone, we're talking a partner that has a global cross-border payments hub that enables faster, affordable, secure business-to-business cross-border payments and remittances to more than 70 countries. Tranglo has gained access to more than 100 financial institutions and partners globally. So in reality, Ripple doesn't need a boatload of partnerships. They just need the right partnerships. And Tranglo is just one of those. You could look at any other of their partners. For example, SBI Remit, the largest money transfer provider in Japan. And Japan is one of the largest GDP markets in the world. Or for example, Modular, right? Modular is the leading embedded payments platform in the UK and Europe. So we're not talking small players by any means. We're talking major players, enabling customers to make payments 24/7, 365 days a year in seconds. And you know who they chose? Ripple. Do you want to know how many other partners are going to choose Ripple once this SEC lawsuit officially comes to a complete close, where, we're talking the SEC doesn't appeal by October 6th? I bet you money there's a lot of major players and institutional guys that are sitting there saying, you know what? We see that Ripple has the technology of the future. We see that it's going to cost us a lot of time and take a lot of effort, and we're going to have to hire all the right teams in order to build this technology for ourselves. So instead of doing that, we'll just adopt Ripple's underlying technology in order to accomplish our goals and make things far more seamless, far more frictionless, far more affordable. Okay, and it's not just these guys. Ripple is also with Santander in the US, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce in Canada. We're talking India, Brazil, Singapore, China, the UAE, the UK, Australia, Sweden, Japan, Thailand. I mean, you name it. So at the end of the day, these guys already have been with Ripple. And I do believe by October 6th, right, now that we have a settlement and some regulatory clarity based on what BitBoy Crypto Ben Armstrong just shared, that Ripple is ready and primed to take off. Now, really quickly, if you haven't already, head on over to bullrunners.com. You can find the link in the description below. You've got to do this. The reality is we've shared this over and over and over again because it truly is the best thing that we can share with you, our audience, the people that are watching this. If you are a holder of XRP or plan to hold XRP for quite some time into the future, you can discover how to earn more crypto in less than 10 minutes with the #1 play to earn XRP game. In other words, put your XRP to work for you so you can reduce the volatility in your portfolio. In other words, if the market becomes a little bit more bearish or some weird black swan event comes, dragging along into the end of the summer or into the end of the year, ultimately this is going to reduce the volatility in your portfolio because you will be earning crypto as you go, which you can convert for XRP. On the flip side, this is a great way to stack onto that XRP bag, right, and actually earn more if the market becomes more bullish. So it's a great way to compound onto those gains. You have nothing to lose, everything to gain. If you have any questions, you can just watch this video. Then in 3 simple steps, okay, you get your XRP wallet, #1. #2, you get your rare game pieces, okay, and then 3, you play the game, which takes no longer than 10 minutes per day. You get your crypto, and yes, it is convertible directly for XRP, and these videos explain exactly how that works. And by the way, we've been taking advantage of it. We're super excited to share it with you. So go to bullrunners.com and let's get into the rest of the video. So now I want to get into something that's been making its rounds on X or Twitter recently, which is, really bullish when you read it, but I want to debunk it, if you will, and just share what it actually means. So Levi's shared this. Ripple has over 1,700 NDAs between the major banks, financial institutions, and companies. And that is true. They did have 1,700 NDAs. But then he makes a very large, bold statement. XRP is going to be the most valuable asset in the world. And he's using this document to make it seem legitimate. And this seems very, very bullish. This is, however, just an opinion. And so I want to differentiate that. Now let's get into the actual document from the lawsuit that shares this. In discovery, the parties produced over 1,700 contracts, which were NDAs, which are specific agreements by which Ripple transferred XRP to contractual counterparties in a variety of commercial transactions. In other words, they moved XRP from their wallets over to some of these counterparties or institutional players, and they were moved in 4 different ways. Okay, the fourth one being the least used, or the way that they did it the least, in a bunch of variety of ways, where the first 3 were the major ways in which they move XRP. So we're just going to cover those really quickly. The first one, contracts by which Ripple transferred XRP directly to a counterparty. 2, contracts by which Ripple counterparties agreed to sell XRP on behalf of Ripple over trading platforms. And 3, contracts by which Ripple paid for various counterparty services in XRP provided by Ripple. And then finally, miscellaneous contracts that don't fall into the first 3 categories. So just to debunk this, I think a lot of people read this and say, oh my God, look at how bullish this is. 1,700 institutions and arguably going to grow. And I would agree. But it's not necessarily the fact that, well, this was back in 2023 when this discovery happened, number 1, in the courts. 2, that means that this happened well before then. And by that point in time, right, if this was in the courts working its way through an SEC lawsuit, a lot of these counterparties probably got cold feet. They said, we don't want the legal issues in the US. We don't want any subpoenas. We want to do business sometime in the US. So we're just probably going to hold off, which means this doesn't necessarily mean that these are live contracts or NDAs in this case, because when you look at contracts by which Ripple transferred XRP directly to a counterparty, the counterparty might have sent it back saying, we don't want this issue. They might have gone and said, we'll get rid of it and sell it. The second one, contracts by which Ripple's counterparties agreed to sell XRP on behalf of Ripple over trading platforms. If they were going to operate in the US, well, guess what? They probably no longer would do that. In other words, if they agreed to sell it, I'm assuming in that agreement, they also said, if you don't sell it, it's not yours, right? It's ours. You're just selling it for us, and then you get a fee. So that's not really fair to go and say, well, that's a big institutional player contract. And then the final one, contracts by which Ripple paid for various counterparty services in XRP. Now, if you're getting paid in a crypto token, I don't know if you ever have here on the channel, we have more often than not, we have bills, we have things to pay, we have different, business expenses, so on and so forth. And 9 times out of 10, we'll take, some of our earnings and sell them in order to get a little bit of extra cash for either life, for business, or just generally to hold and reinvest. That said, we don't do it with everything. We don't do it all the time. It's just one of those things that is a necessary part of doing business. If you take payment in for example, I don't know, a gambling casino token, right, from your buddy, at the end of the day, you're probably going to want to turn that in for cash. Now, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes people say, well, I see a large future here. I'd rather hold because there's the potential that I could earn more, but more often than not, they'll sell it. And so that's likely what might have happened here more often than not. That said, this is kind of a misleading post, and when people read it, they get really, really bullish, and they go and then post the footnotes. Here, as noted, Ripple's institutional sales involve more than 1,700 relevant contracts. But again, that happened. It doesn't mean it's currently happening. It doesn't mean that these are contracts that are currently live today. Still, that doesn't mean that Ripple isn't in a major position to win, right? We're talking they have solutions for actual banks. They show them, they prove them, they say, use our testnet. Let's show you how good this technology is for you. It's just banks might not have hopped on board yet. Maybe they don't have total confidence. Maybe they need to see the settlement completely finished all the way through October where there is no appeal. Okay, we're talking neobanks launch new digital asset services. Okay, we're talking payment service providers, drive payment volume and customer growth. We're talking you can build crypto businesses using Ripple technology. So there are plenty of use cases. They actually even help banks, central banks, build CBDCs. The opportunities are endless when it comes to the Ripple blockchain technology and the XRP ledger. And so really what we're waiting on is that appeal. But at the end of the day, there are plenty of banks that have already proven that this technology works, and they're excited to move forward with the technology. And again, based on what BitBoy just shared, I think things have never been more bullish. Now what we're going to do is dive into the technical analysis side of things. So right here, the reason I am going to chart Bitcoin is because Bitcoin is kind of like the mothership of crypto, right? If you've been involved in crypto for any period of time more than a year, you know that if Bitcoin Bitcoin is dumping hard. Usually the entire crypto market is dumping hard, and that includes XRP. And on the flip side, right, if Bitcoin's pumping hard, it typically provides for a very healthy environment. It is a good indicator that other things in the crypto market might be in a good place, from a health perspective or standpoint to start pumping as well. So it kind of paves the way. It clears the road, if you will. It is basically an indicator that markets are looking bullish and healthy. And so right now might be a good time to invest. But as things stand, we have been in a relative or an intermediate term downtrend. In other words, we have a series of lower highs and lower lows. In between each of these highs, we have a new low that comes in lower than the previous low, as you can see right here. This is an intermediate term downtrend. But as of recently, right, from this range right here that started back in August 8th, or basically at the conclusion of the Ripple lawsuit, we have officially broke above that recent range right here, or this downtrend, and broke above, which leads me to believe that we're likely going to pump back up to the $68,000 range. And if we touch this range and break above this previous high right here, then things are going to be smooth sailing from here on out, and we are officially done with the summer lull. That doesn't mean it's going to happen right now. It means that it might happen sometime in the near future. We're getting there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the hash rate indicator, hash ribbons indicator, which is based on the hash rate. So you can see here back in bull markets, and this is a weekly time frame, that whenever we actually flashed a buy signal, things actually looked pretty good to buy. And that happened here, even with sideways ranging price action into a major bull market from its low back in 32,000 all the way up to its major high at $65,000. Every time you saw a buy signal being flashed, good time to buy, minus a bit of volatility. So you might have some sort of a black swan event with some major volatility, like happened here in the COVID pandemic. But at the end of the day, anytime you buy into a major bull move or a bull market, good time to do it. In similar fashion, the lows right here back in 2023, if you would have bought right here after capitulation, here after capitulation, and yet again potentially here after capitulation, good time to buy. Now, what is this actually based on? Well, let me just explain this to you, okay? This right here, buying during minor capitulation yields wonderful returns. The best buy signals occur on hash rate recovery and when price momentum is positive. Historically, this strategy has yielded average returns to cycle peak of greater than 5,000% and max drawdown of 15%. Now, here's the reality. This was back in October 29th of 2019, so I do believe things have changed since then. But basically, this is based on miners capitulating. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, right here we have a chart of the miners. Okay, this purple line indicates the miner reserve. In other words, when this is decreasing, basically people that are securing the Bitcoin network using energy and all of these mining rigs or computers and ASICs in order to do it are selling Bitcoin, okay, because they are very profitable, and arguably their expenses might be high, so they're trying to pay off some of those expenses. They might have a lot of, maybe they have an analyst or some trading desk that says right now is a good time to get out of our Bitcoin position, and so let's start selling. Okay, whenever this thing starts to spike, it means they are holding their Bitcoin, and whenever it dumps, it means they're selling their Bitcoin. Now, these are some major players, and if nobody was there to actually buy the Bitcoin, right, then at the end of the day, that is not a very bullish sign. So we do want to see people picking up or buying the Bitcoin, but on the flip side, miners are a good indicator of health. Now, as of right now, since we started dumping from this, major high at $73,000, and I'm going to move out of the way right here for a second, you can see that we've actually hit lows, okay, or new lows for the year. And that said, since that point in time, miners have no longer been capitulating, but they've been holding on to their Bitcoin because they are happy to hold on to it in this range, and they potentially see further upside here in the near future. future. And so that's exactly what this indicator is showing us. It's showing us, right, this green right here is when miners are actually capitulating or getting out of the market. And then the buy signal is when the trend is not only up, but miners are no longer capitulating. It's a good buy signal. Okay, so as you can see here, whether I put it on a daily time frame, weekly time frame, doesn't actually matter. But into a bull market, buying on these days would be really, really smart and would yield you quite a bit of crypto. Now, what's really, really interesting and what I want to laser into here is the fact that we had a minor buy signal, okay? We had capitulation and then a buy signal right here on the first major move of a new uptrend right here in January of 2023. And if you would have held through there, you wouldn't have made a ton of money, right? But this was the start of the major bull move and to a bull market. Okay, and then again we had this summer lull where the price basically ranged from March of 2023 all the way to October of 2023 and did much of nothing. This was a very boring time in crypto. In other words, in the boring times you probably want to start to accumulate. We had a buy signal occur, we had some volatility to the downside, so you wouldn't have been too happy buying on that buy signal after this volatility, right? But then if you would have simply held and stuck to your guns, you've been a very happy camper where the price went from $25,000 all the way to $73,000. And in similar fashion, we are officially in a new, not only capitulation to buy phase, but just in general, a summer lull phase where the market has been cooling off through the summer. We saw the buy signal. Look at this, almost textbook, major volatility and capitulation. And if I were to pull up, for example, that volume, you can see that we had a boatload of sell volume on the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, look at the level of capitulation. We're talking $4.6 billion of people capitulated and sold on this single candle from $58,000 all the way to $49,000. Then the market started recovering into this buy zone. So that said, this is a very good indicator that a lot of the sell pressure might actually be done. And then we have a range breakout right here where we had a high right here on August 8th. Okay, we continue to break down. And now the market's starting to break out above this line right here. Okay, so it does look relatively healthy. We do want to see the move up to the $68,000 level, but that also provides a good indicator that we are starting to reach healthier ranges now for XRP to also perform. So how is XRP performing? So from a daily time frame, okay, we had a series of lower lows, lower highs for a period of time from March right through July of 2024. We reach our range low of about 38 cents. Now, I remember sharing that on a specific video. The 38-cent range was a very strong buy range, just based on total VRVP volume. As you can see here, it took a second to load, but a stupid amount of volume has traded there, especially over the last 2 years from the local lows in May of 2022. Since that point in time, we've failed to break above the 73 to 75-cent range. So I'm going to put a line right there because that is the range to beat. If I could actually grab it, that is the range to beat, about 74 cents. Okay. However, it does look like we've started a new uptrend. And now, why do I know this? I'll tell you why. It's pretty straightforward. Uptrends are easy to track in the same way downtrends are. An uptrend is a series of higher highs and higher lows. So at first we had a downtrend. This was our major high, our next major low, our next major highs were right here, next low. Okay, in other words, this is a textbook downtrend, and it happened for a longer period of time, right? Again, sometimes things take time. Now, since that point in time, if this was our high between these ranges right here, okay, which is really kind of like a double bottom, you name it. Okay, the goal is to find the range that we need to break out above, and I would argue it was probably right around here. So let's just be straightforward and keep it clean and simple. You can see we had a lot of sell pressure consistently happening here, here, and here for a third time before a major breakdown. Okay, so we need to break above that range in order for the market to look healthier again, and we did. At first, we saw some sell pressure right here on July 13th. Then we continued moving to the upside after all of this capitulation. So our major low now, okay, would be here at the 38-cent range right here. Now, if we did not break out here and we continued breaking down, then it was likely reading a new low, but that never actually happened. Instead, we broke out for a new high right here. So it's official. We have a higher high than the previous highs right here, which would lead me to believe that we are in officially a new uptrend. And now we need a new local low in order to confirm it. Is the low higher than the previous low? The answer is yes. This low is higher than this low. And so what we're waiting for now is a new higher high. And that high would have to come above the 64-cent range. If we break out above the 64-cent range, which looks to be more likely considering, guess what? Look, we had support right here. We failed to break below here recently. And when you look back, it looks really eerily interesting, right? How often we're seeing resistance or support right here at the 54-cent range. So this is almost a very easy trade when you really think about it. And if we are in a new uptrend, considering we have two lows, this low is higher than this low, this is our next major high, then it's highly likely we're going to get a new high coming in soon that is higher than this high, up to the 74-cent range. Now, the reality is resistances and supports are like doors. The more that you knock, the more likely it's going to be opened. So we've already knocked on this 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and if this is our 4th, then it's likely we're going to break above that and start moving into our previous range highs at about $1.35 up to $2. Things remain to be seen, but at the end of the day, this looks very, very bullish, and Bitcoin looks to be accumulated. We're getting some really bullish and positive signals. BlackRock continuing to buy, all of these ETFs consistently creating for a dynamic market environment. The summer lull almost coming to an end. XRP finally getting to a settlement and seeing regulatory clarity. Everything just looks stupid bullish. So you really want to add or stack to those XRP bags. And personally, I know of no better way to do it than to head on over to bullrunners.com so you can put your XRP to work in the #1 play to earn XRP game to actually earn crypto that you can convert for XRP at any point in time you want. And it's so simple to do, guys. It literally takes no more than 10 minutes per day. You can find the link in the description below. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Head on over to bullrunners.com. And if you enjoyed the video, leave us a like, subscribe, and let us know when you think XRP is going to break out to new all-time highs down in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, my friend. Goodbye.